When Y'Shaarj was slain and his body torn from the earth, the pools of the Well of Eternity sprung forth. It flowed across the surface of Azeroth and began to pool in basins and valleys. Where the arcane waters pooled, life bloomed, giving rise to thick jungles and flowering vales. And to protect these havens of nature rose the ancient guardians, demigods prepared to sacrifice everything in the defense of Azeroth. But one guardian was not born of the waters. Legend tells of a love shared between the guardian Malorn and the goddess of the moon, Elune. Different tales are passed down among the ancient races of Azeroth, but all agree on one thing. Birthed from their union was the demigod Cenarius. Born of the mortal realm, Cenarius could not remain with Elune, and was given into the care of Malorn. At the moment of his birth, ripples radiated through the Emerald Dream, catching the attention of the dragon aspect Ysera. Ysera took the young guardian under her wing, agreeing to foster the child as her own, at Malorn's request. With Ysera, Cenarius grew a strong connection with the Emerald Dream, and a great love for its lush forests. Cenarius lived for many peaceful millennia, giving rise to the Dryads, the Keepers of the Grove, and perhaps even Centaurs and Magnetars. He fostered friendships with both the Tauren and the Night Elves, passing on the teachings of nature and druidism. He taught Zrantar the Witness, a Tauren given immortality to perform his duty as a Watcher by the Bronze Aspect, Nozdormu. And, after the Night Elves had traded their knowledge of the forests for the arcane power of the Well of Eternity, he came across Malfurion Stormrage, the last of his kind to seek the demigod's training before the Legion's cataclysmic invasion. Cenarius had lost his faith in the Night Elves, disappointed with their obsession with the Well of Eternity and their desire to twist and mold the forests of the land to their own needs. He left them, returning to the wilds, and only appeared many millennia later, when Malfurion pursued legends that referenced the Lord of the Forest. When Cenarius caught wind of Malfurion's search, his curiosity brought him to look into Malfurion's heart, where he saw great potential. He trained the Night Elf, along with his brother Illidan and their friend Tyrande. Malfurion alone would take to the ancient arts of druidism, and to go on to become one of the greatest druids ever known. It was Malfurion who would come to learn of the Legion's invasion, and warn Cenarius of the imminent threat to Azeroth. While Queen Azshara and her Highborn worked on the portal that would summon the Dark Titan Sargeras to Azeroth, and the Night Elf resistance gathered to defend their homes, Cenarius met with the other ancient guardians, and eventually convinced them of the danger they faced. The guardians followed Cenarius into battle, and one by one Cenarius watched them fall to the demons, until he could take it no more. He charged into the fray, and was overwhelmed by the demonic offense. He was saved at the last moment by his father, Malorn, who tore through the demons, until he faced the Eredar Archimonde. The two fought, and Archimonde inevitably gained the upper hand and snapped Malorn's neck, killing him. It was Malfurion's grief and raw power that would raise roots from the ground, entangling Archimonde and forcing him to retreat. Ysera arrived, and after mourning the loss of Malorn, took Cenarius and treated his wounds within the Emerald Dream. While he recovered, however, the Sundering split the face of Azeroth, destroying the majority of the great continent of Kalimdor. Cenarius heard the land's cries of anguish, and left the Emerald Dream to help restore what was left. There he learned of Illidan's betrayal, and the second Well of Eternity the Night Elf had given rise to. He assisted Malfurion in creating a prison, a barrow which would contain Illidan for all of eternity. When Malfurion later discovered the druidic pack form and became overwhelmed with rage, it was Cenarius who calmed him. Other druids also fell to the rage of the pack form, and became the first of the Worgen. It was to face this threat that Malfurion, with Cenarius' blessings, gathered with the other druids in Moonglade, and created the Cenarian Circle. For the many years that followed the Sundering, Cenarius assisted Malfurion and Tyrande in rebuilding the Night Elven civilization. Mists were drawn over their lands to hide it from sight, and the Night Elves rededicated themselves to caring for the land. Malfurion led the druids into the Emerald Dream, falling into a deep slumber. Tyrande, with her established sentinels, kept watch over the sleeping druids and the sacred lands left to them. This period would become known as the Long Vigil, and the help of Cenarius and his children greatly influenced the Night Elves' climb back to a flourishing society. Peace never lasts forever, and eventually the Night Elves were found and confronted. The Orcs of Draenor arrived on the Eastern Kingdoms through the Dark Portal, and conquered half the continent. The alliance of men, elves, and dwarves pushed the invading horde back, and the army shattered. bunkering down in Blackrock Mountain, retreating through the Dark Portal, or finding themselves enslaved in concentration camps. It was an escapee from one of these camps that would be visited by the revived Archmage, Medivh, and advised to sail west, to the hidden lands of Kalimdor. Thrall and his new horde arrived on Kalimdor, and eventually encountered the Night Elves. Cenarius recognized the taint of the Legion on the orcs, and, worried the invaders were scouts of the Legion, led an assault on the orc army. This eventually led Grom Hellscream, Thrall's second-in-command, to drink Legion-tainted waters and regain the orcs' demonic-enhanced powers. With this new strength, the orcs faced off against Cenarius, and even the Lord of the Forest could not contend with the orcs' power. He fell at the hands of Grom Hellscream and his orcs, slain defending the lands of the Night Elves. The orcs who drank the waters would become enslaved once more by Mannoroth, and the Night Elves would mourn the loss of their protector and good friend, vowing vengeance against the bloodthirsty orcs. It later took much convincing by Malfurion to get Tyrande and the other Night Elves to ally with Thrall against the invading demons on the eve of the Third War. Cenarius' death weighed heavily upon everyone's hearts. Those who wander the Emerald Dream will find that their spirits may never truly fade, especially a powerful demigod spirit. Cenarius observed the events of the Battle of Mount Hyjal, noting the orcs' willingness to defend Azeroth against the demons, as well as Grom Hellscream's defiance of Mannoroth, and began to grow respect for the orcs. In the years following the Third War, Cenarius found his Emerald Dream under threat, and with the help of Malfurion, Ysera, and the other druids, guardians, and green dragons, fought a raging war against the encroaching Emerald Nightmare. The lush, verdant forests of the Dream slowly succumbed to the corruption, dragons and druids falling victim to its sinister whisperings. Cenarius would help lead the resistance against the Nightmare, and eventually his former pupil Malfurion would defeat the Nightmare Lord Xavius, and seal the Nightmare in the Rift of Aln. This freed Cenarius to return to the mortal world, and so he returned, with Malfurion, just in time to witness the events of the Cataclysm and the Fire Lord's assault upon Mount Hyjal. Cenarius, with the help of the Cenarian Circle and a veritable army of adventurers, were able to resurrect the ancient guardians that had fallen in the Legion's first invasion of Azeroth. With their help, the Fire Lord's forces were pushed back into the Firelands, and the Twilight's hammer was denied control over the sacred mountain. The Coalition pursued the elementals into their own realm, and there confronted Ragnaros. It was with Cenarius' help that Ragnaros was entrapped and forced to fight, allowing for the heroes invading the Firelands to slay Ragnaros once and for all. Since the war with Ragnaros, Cenarius has returned to patrolling the Emerald Dream, where the Nightmare's threat is ever present. He is vigilant in his defense of his beloved home, and will sacrifice everything, even his own soul, to protect it. The demigod Cenarius is the ancient guardian that has grown the strongest relationship with his Night Elven allies, and continues to foster friendships with his former pupil Malfurion and their Cenarian Circle. For countless millennia, Cenarius has led the charge against the enemies of Azeroth, and with any luck will continue to do so for many years to come. With the Legion looming over Azeroth once more, and the Nightmare regaining control over the Emerald Dream, it may be all Cenarius can do just to stay alive.